Hello, I'm David Kurzel. I'm here to do a short presentation about Spraymation's new 360-241 horizontal reciprocator. This particular horizontal reciprocator is fitted with a lance right here that comes horizontally out of the machine. It's fitted with an atomizer on the end to coat the inside of sections of large diameter pipe. Basically what the machine does is you set up the parameters over on the control box, and then from then on it automatically coats the inside of the pipe. The lance and this atomizer extend out at a programmed speed and coat the pipe on the return stroke, and ending up in a home position with the lance mostly inside of the reciprocator. Let's just quickly run one cycle. There's a start button here to run a cycle manually. There also are passive contacts, which with a contact closure will start one cycle. The lance goes out at high speed, comes back at a lower program speed, paints for the program distance. The air and the fluid turn off in a time sequence, and that's what this machine does. Let's run another one. If you listen really closely on the return stroke, you can hear that first the atomizing air turns on, and then about a tenth of a second later, a second air source turns on to trigger the fluid for the spray gun. When the lance is at the end of the painting stroke, you'll hear that there's a sequence turn off of the air signals which control the atomizing air and the fluid, which takes about 0.2 of a second, 200 milliseconds. Out. Air on painting. Air off, moving to home and stopping. Next, let's go into a little details about the controls, and then we'll go into some details about the actual reciprocator. This is a control box for the machine. It has one of our standard display push button units, very simple to use, up, down, left, right, plus and minus keys. That's all it takes to completely program this machine through three various basic menus that set up all the parameters. There is a power on, off switch, which is lockable for safety reasons. There's an emergency stop switch, which once you push in, disables the motor, disables the air signals for fluid and atomizing air. There's an indicator for when power is on. Also, the backlighting of the display comes on whenever power is on. There is a auto-off test switch for the spray gun. Auto is automatic, off disables the spray gun, and test causes the spray gun to actuate. Every time the spray gun is actuated, it's always the same sequence. That atomizing air comes on for about 100 milliseconds. Then the fluid comes on. You can hear the click of the pneumatic signals happening. When you turn it back to off, the fluid turns off. 200 milliseconds later, the atomizing air turns off to blow any remaining material out of the atomizer. Okay. Similarly, there is a auto-off test for the horizontal drive. When it's in automatic, it runs as we previously showed. Off disables the drive. In test, it runs while you have it over in test. If I stop it, it stops. If I turn it on again, it moves again, as you can hear. There is a start cycle button, so if you're setting up the machine, you can push it to see what's going to happen. You could run it with the spray gun off, and it would just move back and forth. You could watch the trigger points and things, or you could use it with on and no actual fluid, and hear the air cycle to make sure that your trigger points and things are properly set. There also is a stop cycle, which interrupts an automatic cycle. We start a cycle, stop ends the cycle. Okay, when you push start again, it'll return home. It does not continue the cycle that it's operating on. Okay, let's quickly go over the operation of the keyboard and the display here on the unit. Right now the unit's off. I'm going to power it on. The unit comes up for a few seconds, identifies itself, goes to the first menu. As soon as it's at this menu, it's ready to operate. This is the menu that our display that'll be here most times. If we use the up and down arrows, we can go up and we can adjust the right trigger point, which is the right position of the lance's travel where a gun turns on or turns off. So we can come over here. Right now it's set at 56 inches, the maximum. And we can change this to whatever we want. We can use the minus key to go down. We can use the plus key to go up, and get to 48 inches. We have tenths that work. We also have another interesting feature that if we go one more, it lights up the whole number. And if we do a minus, it does that. But if we do one more minus, it subtracts one of the smallest units from the whole number. Okay, which is nice for doing fine adjustments or things like that as you're trying to tune the machine in. The down arrow will go to the next one. Let's say we want to go down to say 10 inches. The position right now is all pound signs because the machine hasn't found home once. Once the machine finds home, the position of the lance will be displayed in inches from the leftmost position. The speed is the speed that the motor controller is running at and isn't set in this particular menu. There are two status lines here. The reciprocator is in automatic. If we turn it off, it goes to off. If we go to test, it says test is on. All of a sudden the position is starting to show up and the speed is being displayed. We go back to auto. The same thing happens with this spray gun. It says test or auto. There are other menus in the machine. The next one is a configuration menu where you can select the units for distance, inches or millimeters. You can set the speed in inches per minute or meters per second. The position offset for this particular machine is fixed at 0.0, and the model in this particular machine is always locked in at 362.41. There also is another additional menu, the settings menu. Up here we have the out direction speed, which is when the lance extends out of the machine. Typically you're going to want that speed to be the maximum, 1500 inches per minute, to get the lance out as quickly as possible. Then there is the indirection speed, which is going to vary based on the diameter of the pipe or tube that's going to be coated to get the correct add-on rate. There also is spray direction. While in a tube or pipe coating application, typically you paint on the in-stroke, returning the lance to the reciprocator, pulling it out of the pipe. It also is possible to paint on the outstroke only, both strokes, or back to the in-stroke only. In this machine, the home position is always left, which causes the lance to be fully in. And we're back to where we wanted to be. Now, since we did a test, the machine is going to have to return home and then do a painting cycle. So I'm going to push start, and you can watch the display as we do a painting cycle. The finding home speed is 750 inches per minute, half a maximum. Goes out at the maximum speed. And it slows down to the minimum. I guess to 48. The guns will turn on. The guns will stay on until it gets to 10 inches, going back into the machine. The gun is off, and it'll stop at home, which is a negative position. This is what the machine does. Let's run a more normal cycle without that extra long returning to home from our test. Here one more time. Goes out at 1500. Comes back at the programmed return or end speed. The gun turns on at the programmed trigger point. Gun turns off at the second trigger point. Stops at home. One of the other interesting features of this controller is that it has 26 internal memories. There's only one axis in this machine, but there are 26 data sets A through Z. If this current data set, we have the right trigger point at 56 inches and left at 10 inches. All the speeds in that other data relate to data set A. If we change the data set to D, for example, the right trigger point is now 44.4 inches, the left trigger point is 2.2 inches, and whatever speeds were programmed are there for this data set. These data sets are useful if you have a number of products that you switch between so that you can quickly assign data set A to product A, data set B to product B. Here's a quick photo of the lance moving out of the horizontal reciprocator. Out. Change slow speed. Trigger point. Second trigger point ending spray, back to home, ending the cycle. Now opening the covers, we can actually see the mechanism inside the machine. The mechanism here is a standard Spraymation wheels and steel track design that's been proven over about 40 years of use. It drives the lance. A plastic hose and cable carrier is provided to the lance. This particular lance is designed for a large diameter pipe, so it's a piece of square aluminum tubing and has holes and things to carry the hoses for atomizing air and fluid inside the lance. At the other end of the reciprocator are four guide rollers. They guide the lance out the small cutout in the end of the enclosure. A user-provided atomizer is fitted to the end of the lance. One of the nice features about these rollers and this particular design is that a small round lance could be used for smaller diameter pieces, or the same type of reciprocator could be used without the rollers and without a lance, using a downward pointing spray gun mount for downward applications. The nice thing about this design is it uses our traditional steel roller and track and chain design, but puts it into a modular enclosure that can have the guide rollers for a lance and has the nice covers that are easy to open yet provide secure coverage. One of the interesting features of this new series of reciprocators is that the motor can electrically reverse. I've changed the program parameters so that the length of the spray stroke is 40 inches. Goes out at high speed, but then the traverse reverses for the actual painting stroke. By reversing, the control has decided that this is the shortest way to make this painting stroke. Had the chain continued going forward, it would have taken more time to go down and around the end sprocket. I've just changed the on distance to 56 inches, the full stroke, and we'll run it again. Outer high speed, but this time the direction didn't change and the return stroke is still in the same direction, but the turn on and turn off points are at exactly the same positions to give the shortest possible cycle time for this machine. So basically, that's what's inside. Has covers that come down. They latch securely with magnetic latches. And the unit's all closed up, ready to go. I hope this presentation has provided you with some information about the controls, the capabilities, and the operation of these horizontal reciprocators. If you have any questions, you can email us, call us, 954-484-9700, or come to our website, www.spraymation.com, and look for more information. Thank you.